You tried couples therapy before, but it didn't work. The same relationship problems are still there, and you're not sure if couples therapy can actually help. I'm here to tell you therapy actually works. And if you didn't get the results you wanted, it's because you didn't choose the best couples therapy approach. That's why today I'll share with you the best couples therapy approach that has saved so many of my clients' relationships, and it can help yours too. So I actually have a story to tell you. Before I actually become a therapist, I went through a rough patch in my own relationship, and I went to a therapist who practiced cognitive behavior therapy. Being in the client's chair, it was such a horrible experience for me. I didn't feel understood. I felt like something was missing from this session. And later when I did research, I found you can't just go to any therapist who practices anything, who claims to know what they're doing. And that's why I feel the need to share this knowledge with other people so that they don't go through the same awful experience that I did many years ago, and they can actually find someone who can help them in their relationship. So I really want to share with the world what's so special about emotion-focused therapy. So when you go to a regular couples therapist, probably they're going to work with you on skill building, working on communication skills, which is great, but it's usually not enough to actually help you repair your relationship. When I'm working with couples in my practice and they come and see me, they tell me, I've had prior experience with couples therapy, but it hasn't worked for me in the past. Or if I'm working with an individual and I ask them, why aren't you giving couples therapy a try? They tell me, okay, I've been to a couples therapist. It didn't really help me. It felt like I'm sitting in a class and the therapist is teaching me just a bunch of communication skills. And when it actually comes to implementing these communication skills, I feel paralyzed because in a moment of anger, I just say whatever I want to my partner. I start attacking, criticizing. I get really mad, and all these skills that I've learned in therapy is just out the door. So overall, whatever I've been taught in therapy about communication just goes out the door once I'm very flooded and overwhelmed. And so I haven't really been able to help my relationship. If I have, it's just for short term. And if you are one of those people who've had experiences like that, I totally agree with you. And this is happening because most couples therapists, their main focus is on communication skills, which when you're fighting in the middle of a fight with your partner, it's hard to remember that these are the skills I actually need to implement right now to talk better with my partner. So it's a band-aid approach, and it doesn't lead to any long-term solution. If you look up Google or if you search in ChatGPT, you're going to get the best communication skills you can from ChatGPT. So what that therapist is going to offer you if you can already get it from ChatGPT. And that's where emotion-focused therapy comes to play. An EFT therapist is an expert coach in emotions. And isn't that the best thing? Because when you're actually fighting with your spouse and you want to rip their head off, it's because you're mad. It's because you're hurt. It's because you're feeling perhaps devalued, not a priority. These are all the complex emotions that are happening at the same time, which you probably have no idea about. And when you go to express this to your husband or partner, you're just getting mad at them, or you're complaining and critical. So of course it's going to backfire. So the EFT therapist has this amazing lens that I'm not just going to focus on communication skills, because they probably know how they need to talk to each other. They probably know that it's not okay for them to get angry, but I'm not going to focus on that because I know it's not going to help them. I'm going to focus on the deep emotions that both partners are feeling. Maybe I'm going to take you back to past attachment injuries or past hurts you've had that you still carry to this day in form of some sort of resentment, and you're responding to your partner in that way. I'm going to really emotionally unpack that for you so that you have a better understanding of yourself as an emotional being who needs care, attention, and I'm going to help you have that deeper understanding of yourself and see how you're actually relating to your partner. What's the state of your emotional bond? Are you both emotionally withdrawn from each other? What's damaged this emotional bond between the two of you, that maybe you don't trust each other, you have your guards up, you feel like you need to protect yourself? So I'm going to focus on the safety of your relationship. Do you feel safe? with your partner? Do you feel like you can count on your partner? These are all attachment needs that are going unaddressed in your relationship because most of the time you're unconscious. You don't even know why you're yelling at your partner. And I'm going to give you an example. I had a friend sharing with me how they asked their husband to buy a type of strawberries for them, and the husband actually forgot to get them what they need. They were really upset over this for the past couple of days. They were saying, you know what, I'm just so mad. He doesn't get it why I'm so mad. He just tells me, oh, it's just a bunch of strawberries. Like, what's the difference? You told me to get this, instead I got that. It's still strawberries. And that's just a surface level thing. A CBT therapist is going to look at that and be like, oh, okay, so you yelled at each other. When you found out he didn't get you what you needed, you probably yelled. So you know you shouldn't yell because it's an unhealthy behavior. How about next time you say, my dear, why didn't you get me what I needed? So that's one version. The EFT therapist is going to look at that and be like, okay, how did you actually feel when your husband didn't get you what you need? And the person is going to say, well, I felt unimportant because he never listens to me. He is neglecting my need. I feel really neglected in this relationship, and this is not the first time. So then I would just explore that. You're responding from an emotional state. It's much deeper than just communication skills. And I want to dig deeper and see where this feeling of being neglected stems from. And maybe it stems from an injury from the past. Maybe when you were going into labor with your first child, your husband wasn't there and you told him, this is what I need from you. And he's like, I'm sorry, I can't give that to you. And you're still holding on to resentment about that. So we actually go back to the past or to the present to really repair, restructure the emotional bond you have with your partner, because if something has happened in the past, there's a rupture there. So if he doesn't get you the ice cream you want, if he doesn't get you the strawberry you want, you're going to go into a deep place of pain and hurt because it reminds you of the past. And there are certain needs that are not being met in your relationship. So we actually pay attention to those unmet needs and we try to help you get those needs met. And this goes for both of you. We're just going to pay attention to the unfulfilled, unmet needs you have in therapy and help you have an understanding of what your partner is missing and helping you give your partner what they need to have a happy relationship. If you're wondering about the current strengths and weaknesses of your relationship, I have a great relationship test for you right under this video. You can click the link below and download your free relationship test now. Now, let's say you're going for your first session of emotion-focused therapy. I can tell you as an EFT therapist, one of the first things we pay attention to is if you have been arguing, what does that cycle of conflict look like for you? So we really try to kind of dissect it and see what are the emotions that are driving this cycle of conflict, because we know if we let this cycle of conflict continue, you're just going to be more emotionally withdrawn and distant from each other. And we don't want that for you because we know this is going to hurt your relationship bond and it's going to put doubts into your mind about the viability of your relationship. So really the first 2 sessions is for us to get a sense of that cycle of conflict. This is in case you're coming in with conflict. Sometimes couples come in and maybe their main concern is like they feel like roommates. So they feel emotionally withdrawn and just like emotionally indifferent and neutral. So that's a different issue. So I guess partly it depends on what you bring into the session. But a lot of times if you've been fighting a lot, we really want to tackle that and reduce the intensity and frequency of your fights. That will be our first focus. Our next focus is once we've been able to de-escalate and you both have an understanding of how you do this to each other and how you hurt each other, then we focus on helping you create a closer, more intimate bond, like where you actually do feel safe with each other, where you can safely share what's on your mind, you feel supported, and you feel like a priority again because your needs are being attended to. So again, this is not about building communication skills. Of course, that's part of it, but you learn through this process how to emotionally connect with your partner at a deeper level, because these arguments and fights are not happening between the two of you. You have more of a chance to recover, do things that make you feel closer to each other. And then the next step is we help you to maintain your gains from therapy. We don't want you to come back to therapy. We want you to actually create such a change that you're like, you know what, I've worked through that issue. I no longer need couple therapy. I may need couple therapy for other aspects of my relationship, but this part of a relationship, this problem that we had together is absolutely resolved and it's not going to come back. And that's the ultimate power of emotion focused therapy, or EFT. Listen, I know thinking of starting therapy can be daunting and you probably feel nervous and don't know what to expect. But don't worry, I've got you. If you want to learn how you can better prepare for your first couples therapy session from an expert like me, watch the video on your screen now.